Did you know the average person touches their smartphone over 2,600 times a day? That's more than once every 30 seconds while we're awake. It's a number that's almost hard to believe, but it's true. That's not a guess. It's a fact, backed by research. Our relationship with technology is deeper and more constant than we often realize. Our phones have become extensions of ourselves, shaping our habits and routines. They're with us at work, at home, and everywhere in between. We reach for them without thinking, from the moment we wake up to the moment we fall asleep. It's almost automatic, like breathing. But what if all those daily touches disappeared? Imagine your day without that constant companion. What would you do with your hands, your mind, your time? Would you feel lost, or would you find something new? I decided to find out by starting an experiment. 30 days without modern technology. No shortcuts, no cheating, no smartphone, no computer, no TV, no social media. I wanted to see what would happen if I truly disconnected. The rules were strict. No internet-connected devices, only a landline for essential calls, radio for news, and physical books for entertainment and learning. The goal wasn't to live like it was the 1800s, but to see if a better, more present life was possible without digital noise. Could I rediscover the world beyond the screen? This is the story of those 30 days, a journey of struggle, discovery, and unexpected joy. Each day brought new challenges and surprising moments. It's about the challenge of being alone with your thoughts, and the pleasure of finding new ways to spend your time. I learned to be present in ways I hadn't imagined. This isn't just my story, it could be yours. Anyone can try this, and the results might surprise you. We all need to ask, what have we gained from technology, and what have we lost? Are we more connected, or just more distracted? Are we in control, or are our devices controlling us? It's a question worth considering. I invite you to look at your own digital life and consider, who's really in charge? What would you do with more time and attention? Over the next scenes, I'll share what happened when I unplugged. The journey was more difficult, and more rewarding than I ever expected. The results surprised me, and they might surprise you too. Sometimes the biggest changes come from the smallest decisions. Let's begin with the hardest part, the silence that comes when the screens go dark. It's a silence that can feel overwhelming at first. What happens when the world gets quiet? When the constant buzz of notifications finally stops? How do you fill the space left behind? What do you notice that you never noticed before? My experiment started with a single, uncomfortable question. What if I just stopped? Here's what I discovered, and why it changed the way I see my digital life forever. The first day was brutal. It was as if I'd woken up in a world that had suddenly gone quiet, stripped of all the usual background noise I never realized I depended on. I woke up, reached for my phone, and found only empty space. My hand hovered there, confused, as if expecting the device to magically appear. No news, no emails, no social media, just silence. The usual morning buzz was replaced by a heavy, almost tangible quiet. But it wasn't peaceful. It was loud, anxious, and unfamiliar. My thoughts seemed to echo in the emptiness, growing louder with every passing minute. My brain craved its usual digital fix. I felt restless, my fingers twitching for something to scroll, tap, or check. Simple tasks became complicated. Checking the weather meant looking outside, scanning the sky for clues instead of glancing at an app. Finding the time meant hunting for an old watch, buried somewhere in a forgotten drawer, instead of a quick glance at a glowing screen. Even getting to a coffee shop required a paper map. I had to actually plan my route, tracing lines with my finger, hoping I wouldn't get lost. The world, once at my fingertips, suddenly felt huge and unwieldy. Every errand became an adventure, and not always in a good way. I felt disconnected, haunted by phantom vibrations and the fear of missing out. My mind kept inventing notifications that weren't there. Was I missing something important? The anxiety was real. I worried about messages, updates, and news I couldn't access. I realized how much my phone gave me a sense of security and connection. It was more than a tool. It was a lifeline to the world. By the end of the day, I was exhausted, not physically, but mentally. My mind felt overworked, trying to fill the gaps left by constant connectivity. The silence forced me to confront my own thoughts and restlessness. There was nowhere to hide from myself, no distraction to escape into. I went to bed in darkness, my mind racing to adjust. Sleep was elusive, my thoughts swirling in the quiet. Could I really survive another 29 days of this? The challenge suddenly felt much bigger than I'd imagined. The silence wasn't just the absence of noise, it was a presence I had to face. It demanded my attention, refusing to be ignored. But as the days went on, something began to shift. The quiet started to feel less threatening, more like an invitation. The world outside the screen started to come into focus. I began to notice details I'd always overlooked: the rustle of leaves, the distant hum of life, and the simple beauty of being present. After the initial shock of disconnecting from my devices, a strange quiet settled in. I started to notice the world around me in a way I hadn't for years. Without a screen in front of me, I looked up and saw details I'd missed: leaves shimmering in the sunlight, the subtle rhythm of city sounds, the gentle movement of people passing by. My senses, dulled by digital overload, began to wake up and sharpen. I could actually feel the breeze and smell the morning air. Breakfast became a time to read the newspaper, not scroll a feed. I found myself lingering over articles, savoring my coffee. Evenings were for books, not TV. The quiet of turning pages replaced the noise of endless streaming. My concentration improved. I could lose myself in a story for hours, undistracted by notifications or pings. I picked up old hobbies, playing guitar, cooking from real cookbooks, and even sketching in a notebook. Chopping vegetables became meditation, not just a chore. The simple act of preparing a meal felt grounding. These activities weren't about productivity, but about pleasure and presence. I was learning to enjoy the process, not just the outcome. Life slowed down, but it felt richer, more textured, and full of small joys I'd overlooked. Waiting in line became a chance to observe, not to check my phone. I noticed the people around me, the snippets of conversation, the world in motion. I was learning patience and presence, discovering how to simply be, without distraction. The analog world offered depth and connection I'd forgotten: real laughter, shared moments, and genuine conversation. I was finally living in the moment, not just passing time or waiting for the next notification. The digital world promised convenience, but the real world offered meaning, connection, and a sense of belonging I never knew I was missing. The biggest change was in my mind. At first, my thoughts were chaotic, desperate for stimulation, but as the days passed, the anxiety faded. Without constant notifications, my mind could finally rest. My focus sharpened. I could immerse myself in a single task. Boredom, once an enemy, became a gateway to creativity. I started to enjoy letting my mind wander, solving problems and reflecting. Emotional ups and downs from social media disappeared. My happiness was no longer tied to likes or emails, but to real experiences. A sunset, a conversation, a finished project. I was building a more stable, authentic sense of well-being. The mental fog lifted, replaced by clarity and calm. I was meeting my own mind for the first time. The digital noise was gone, and I could finally hear myself think. This clarity changed everything. Without screens, I moved more. Evenings became walks in the park, not hours on the couch. My body, long sedentary, felt alive again. Sleep improved. No more blue light in bed, just a book and darkness. I fell asleep faster, woke up refreshed. Meals became mindful. I tasted my food, noticed when I was full. I stopped eating out of boredom and started eating with intention. The result? More energy, better posture, and a few pounds lost without trying. The tension in my neck and shoulders faded. My body was grateful for the change. I realized we're not built for a digital existence. We're built to move, rest, and connect with the world. Disconnecting from technology helped me reconnect with myself. The transformation was real, and it started with putting down the phone. My body and mind were finally in sync. My social life changed dramatically. At first I felt isolated, no group chats, no instant updates. But I had to be intentional, real phone calls, face-to-face meetings. Conversations became deeper, more meaningful. I relearned how to listen, make eye contact, and connect without a screen. Awkward at first, but soon natural. My friendships grew stronger based on real experiences, not just shared content. I became more open in public, chatting with strangers and neighbors. Little moments of connection added richness to my days. I felt part of a real community, not just a digital network. The joy of genuine human connection returned. I was present with people, not just present online. The experiment reminded me nothing beats real in-person connection. Work without technology was daunting. I swapped my laptop for a typewriter, emails for face-to-face conversations. It felt slow, but my focus and work quality soared. Without digital distractions, I entered deep work, long, productive stretches on important tasks. A physical planner replaced my digital calendar, forcing me to plan ahead. I became more organized and strategic. I realized how much time I'd wasted on low-value digital tasks. True productivity came from focused, uninterrupted effort. Being connected isn't the same as being productive. The experiment taught me to manage my workload on my own terms. Less busy, more accomplished. This journey wasn't easy. Everyday tasks, banking, booking tickets, finding recipes, became complicated and time-consuming. I missed the convenience of my phone. Social pressure was real. Friends and co-workers didn't always understand. I felt left out, had to defend my choice, and sometimes felt isolated. The hardest part was internal, breaking the habit of constant checking. The craving for digital stimulation was intense. Boredom and silence felt heavy at times. But every challenge brought a triumph: deep conversations, finishing books, waking up rested, creating with my hands. These moments proved a different life was possible, and deeply fulfilling. Overcoming the challenges made the rewards sweeter. I wasn't just surviving without technology, I was thriving. The struggle was real, but so was the transformation. I was building a more intentional life. On day 31, I turned my phone back on. The flood of notifications was overwhelming. The digital noise felt foreign, even aggressive. I knew I couldn't go back to my old habits. Technology is useful, but I refused to be its slave. I set new rules: notifications off, email only at set times, social media once a week, no screens in the bedroom. These changes let me keep the benefits of technology without losing my peace of mind. The experiment changed my life. I learned the value of silence, focus, and real connection. We all have a choice. Start small, check your habits, and take back control. Try a digital sunset or a screen-free Sunday. The goal isn't to reject technology, but to use it intentionally. It's your life, your time, your attention. Make sure you're the one deciding how to spend it. The power to choose is yours.